I never told my son I make $75,000 a month. He always saw me living simply. I came to his Christmas party to give my grandson a gift. I wanted to see how his wealthy friends would treat a poor man, so I pretended to be a struggling father. But before I rang the doorbell, I heard him say, "My dad drives a beat-up Camry. It's embarrassing. Just ignore him." That's when I realized I never taught my son about character. I only gave him money. And that night, I was going to take it all back. Now, before I walk through that door, I need you to do something. Comment below where you're watching from, and tell me, have you ever felt ashamed of someone you love, or been ashamed by them? Let me know. I sat in my 2010 Toyota Camry engine ticking as it cooled in the December evening air. Across from me stood my son's house, $3.5 million of Spanish colonial perfection, every edge lined with twinkling Christmas lights. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows I could see the party. Designer clothes, expensive watches, wine glasses catching the light. On my passenger seat sat a wrapped fire truck for Henry. Nothing fancy, just the kind a 4-year-old would actually play with. That's when I heard it. Austin's voice carrying through a cracked window. "Listen, if some old dude in a beat-up Camry shows up, just ignore him, okay? It's my dad." Another voice responded, younger, cocky. "Wait, your dad drives a Camry, dude? That's embarrassing." I know, Austin's nervous laugh. "Just let me handle him. He won't stay long." The words hit me square in the chest. Not a surprise, but hearing your own son say them out loud does something to you. I gripped the steering wheel, the leather worn smooth by 16 years. People see the Camry and make assumptions. That's always been fine with me. 28 years ago, when my ex-wife left, she said I'd never amount to anything. Wasn't going to raise a kid watching me chase pipe dreams. Austin was too. He cried for his mama for months. I made a promise that night. I'd prove her wrong, but more than that, I'd raise Austin to value people for who they are, not what they have. So when the money came, and it did come, I kept it quiet. Same house, same car, same Walmart polo shirts. I wanted my son to love me for me, to work hard because that's what you do, not because Daddy's checkbook was always there. Austin graduated with honors, got his own job, never asked for handouts. I was proud. But then he met these friends, the country club crowd, the trust fund kids, and slowly I felt him pulling away. Calls got shorter, visits got rarer. Now here I was outside his house, technically my house, but he didn't know that listening to him tell his friends to ignore me. My son had no idea who I really was, and tonight I was going to let him show me exactly who he'd become. I checked my reflection, green Walmart polo, khaki pants slightly too short, $49 Timex, perfect. I grabbed the fire truck and stepped out. Across the driveway, a Range Rover gleamed under landscape lighting. Next to it, a Porsche, a Tesla. My Camry looked like it had wandered in from the service entrance. I walked up the stone pathway past desert landscaping that probably required a full-time gardener. The air smelled like mesquite and expensive cologne. Christmas music drifted out. Bing Crosby dreaming of a white Christmas where it never snowed. Through the side light window, I could see Austin laughing, wine glass in hand, relaxed, in a way he never looked around me anymore. I shifted the wrapped fire truck under my arm and pressed the doorbell. Let the show begin. The door swung open and a wall of warmth hit me. Laughter, clinking glasses, and cologne that probably cost more per ounce than my entire outfit. A young guy in a crisp white button-down stood there, clearly not expecting someone like me. "Can I help you?" "I'm Michael, Austin's father." His eyebrows shot up. "Oh, come in, Mr. Bradford." I stepped inside. 20-foot ceilings. A Christmas tree that must have required a crane decorated within an inch of its life. Through the back wall of glass, the desert stretched toward the McDowell Mountains, lit by landscape lighting that probably cost more than most people's cars. Maybe 20 guests scattered through the space, mid-20s to early 30s. The women wore jeans that fit too perfectly to be off the rack. The men had that private school polish hair, just messy enough to look intentional watches that caught the light. Nobody was drinking beer. Austin spotted me from across the room. I watched his face freeze, eyes going tight, body tensing like he'd just spotted a creditor at a wedding. He made his way over. "Dad, you made it." He glanced at his friends. "I thought you might not come." "Wouldn't miss seeing Henry on Christmas Eve." "Right." He looked at my green Walmart polo. I could see him calculating how noticeable it was. "Come meet everyone." Then I heard it. Small feet running. "Grandpa." Henry crashed into me 4 years old in tiny dress pants and a sweater vest. His face lit up like I'd arrived on a sleigh pulled by reindeer. I dropped to one knee. "Hey, buddy. Merry Christmas." "You came." "Of course I came." I held up the wrap package. "Brought you something." His eyes went huge. "Is it the fire truck?" "You'll have to wait until tomorrow." "Henry." Austin's hand landed on his son's shoulder. Firm. "Grandpa can't stay long. Go play with the other kids." Henry's face fell. "But he just got here." "Now, Henry." I watched my grandson's shoulders slump as he walked away, looking back once. I didn't argue. Wasn't my place. Not here. I stood up, knees creaking, and tucked the present under my arm. A guy materialized at Austin's elbow. Tall quarterback build smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Blake Montgomery." He stuck out his hand, then looked me up and down without hiding it. "So you're Austin's dad, huh? Didn't picture that." Austin shifted. "Blake, this is my father, Michael Bradford." "Cool, cool." Blake nodded toward the space. "Austin crushed it buying this place. Self-made, really impressive when you think about it. When you think about what he didn't say. But it hung there. Another guy drifted over, shorter styled, hair Rolex Submariner, catching the light. "Mason Brooks." He thrust his wrist forward. "Early Christmas gift from my pops. You got the time, mister." "Bradford Alpes." I glanced at my Timex. 6:42. "Nice. Yours is very practical." Behind them, the party flowed. Someone laughed. Another person explained their Tesla's software update. Catering staff moved through with appetizers that looked like tiny art pieces. A third guy stood slightly apart, quieter than the others. Dark hair, observant eyes. He nodded at me but didn't join the conversation. Something different about him. Blake gestured toward the bar, where wine bottles stood lined up like soldiers. Labels I recognized. Price points I definitely recognized. "Can we get you something to drink, Mr. Bradford?" His smile widened. "We've got beer. Domestic." I took the bottle. Domestic lager, the kind that comes in 30 packs. I twisted off the cap. "Thanks." Mason lingered, that Rolex still catching every light like it had its own spotlight. "So, mister Bradford, what do you think of this 25,000? Dad said I needed something proper for business meetings." I held up my wrist. Timex Weekender. Silver dial, brown strap. "Got this one at Target. $49. Tells time pretty well." His smile flickered. "Yeah, practical." Blake circled back, wineglass in hand. "Austin says you're in business. Real estate." His eyes lit up. "Oh, nice. Like property management, collecting rent, fixing toilets?" "More development, actually." "Development," he nodded slowly. "Cool. Small projects. Strip malls, office parks. Various sizes." Mason jumped in. "My dad's in private equity. Always looking at real estate deals, big syndications. You ever work with investors, mister?" Bradford. "Here and there." "What kind? Local investors, family money?" I took another sip. Let the question hang. Blake was reassessing now. "You invest yourself. Stocks, mutual funds." "My dad says index funds are the way to go for regular people." Regular people. There it was. Across the room, Austin was talking near the tree, his back to me, making very sure he wasn't part of this conversation. Mason gestured at the house. "Austin did incredible getting this place. $3.5 million. You help with the down payment." Austin's head turned. "I bought it myself. I handled it." "That's awesome, man." Blake raised his glass. "Self-made all the way. So much more impressive than trust fund kids. Really building something from nothing." I watched Austin's jaw work. "Yeah, from nothing." "Your dad must be proud," Mason added, looking at me. "Seeing your son do better than you did. That's the American dream, right?" Kid, wearing a $25,000 watch, talking about the American dream. A quieter voice spoke up. "I don't think that's—" I turned. The guy from earlier, dark hair standing apart from Blake and Mason. He'd been watching with this look like he was solving a puzzle. Isaac Warren. His handshake was firm but not aggressive. Not trying to prove anything. "Sorry about these guys." "It's fine." A woman drifted over, blonde, expensive dress. "Blake, who's this Austin's dad?" She looked at my polo shirt, my khakis, my watch. "Oh, Brittany." "What do you do?" "Commercial real estate development." "Like flipping houses." Blake draped his arm over her. Mr. Bradford does smaller projects. Different scale than what we're talking about. Austin appeared at my elbow suddenly. Dad does fine. His voice had this defensive edge. He's been in real estate for years. Smaller projects mostly, but he works hard. Really hard. There it was. The thing I'd come to hear even though it made something in my chest go tight. My own son qualifying my work, making excuses. Explaining that, yeah, his dad's kind of small time, but hey, he tries. Mason clapped Austin's shoulder. That's cool, man. Honest work. Nothing wrong with that. Honest work, like I was mowing lawns. Isaac Warren hadn't joined the laughter. He was still watching me, that frown deepening. Unlike Blake and Mason, he hadn't made a single joke. Just observed. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Diane's name on the screen. Excuse me, I said. I need to take this. I stepped toward the hallway past the catering table where someone had arranged $40 worth of cheese into a star pattern. Through the glass doors I could see the back patio, string lights, a fire pit with actual flames going despite it being 60 degrees out. I slid the door open and stepped into the desert night. The air was cool and dry. Quiet except for muffled party sounds behind me and somewhere in the distance, a coyote testing the evening. I answered, Diane, what's the situation? Mr. Bradford, Diane Foster. 20 years with me, never flustered. I apologize for calling on Christmas Eve, but Goldman Sachs wants to move the contract signing up. They're ready to approve the full $8.5 million. I turned away from the window. Inside, I could see Blake gesturing with his wine glass, Mason laughing at something, Austin looking uncomfortable. Tell them Tuesday morning works, 10 o'clock. Will do. Also, Phoenix Sky Harbor finally cleared the expansion permit. Environmental review came back clean. We can break ground in January. Good. Send the updated timeline to the team. Consider it done. Anything else? That's it. Enjoy your holiday, Diane. You too, sir. I ended the call and stood there for a moment. The city spread out below, lights twinkling across the valley, Camelback Mountain dark against the sky. When I stepped back inside, the temperature shift hit me again. Warm, too warm. Or maybe that was just me. Blake was suddenly closer than he'd been before. Everything okay. Work emergency. Just logistics. On Christmas Eve, he laughed. Man, that's dedication. What kind of logistics? Contract stuff. What kind of contracts, if you don't mind me asking? I minded, but I said, development project. His eyes narrowed slightly, not suspicious, curious. I thought I heard you say Goldman Sachs. So he had been listening. You might have. You work with Goldman? Mason had drifted over now, too. The whole pack regrouping. Occasionally. Like they're your bank, or you invest with them. They're involved in a project. Blake and Mason exchanged a glance. The math wasn't adding up for them. Property management guys didn't usually have conversations about Goldman Sachs. What kind of project needs Goldman? Blake asked. Commercial development. How big? I took a sip of my domestic beer. Big enough. Austin was watching from across the room now. I could see it on his face. Worry, confusion. He'd never asked about my work. Never wanted to know. Safer not to. Must be nice, Mason said, but his voice had changed. Less cocky, more uncertain. Having that kind of connection. It's work. Isaac Warren appeared at the edge of the conversation, still quiet, still watching. Blake wasn't done. So when you said various sizes earlier, you meant like Goldman Sachs size. I meant what I said. Brittany tugged on Blake's arm. Babe, come on, they're doing pictures by the tree. One sec. He was locked in now, trying to figure me out. What did they approve? You said 8.5. That's a lot for a small project. Million, I said quietly. The word hung there. I'm sorry. What? Mason's voice cracked slightly. 8.5 million. The project budget. I watched it register. Blake's smile frozen. Mason's eyebrows climbing. Isaac's slight nod like something had just clicked into place. Austin had gone pale across the room. My phone buzzed again. A text this time. I glanced down. Brief message from my CFO about quarterly numbers. I held the phone loosely. Natural. Just checking a message. Mason was standing close now, closer than he probably realized. His eyes flicked down toward my screen, then away, then back. Quick. Like he was trying not to be obvious, but couldn't help himself. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, but not before he'd gotten a good look. His face had gone from confused to pale in about 2 seconds flat. Mason's face had drained of color, every bit of that country club tan gone. "Mr. Bradford," his voice came out tight. "That text. Did it say 700,000?" I glanced at my phone still visible in my hand. The message sat there clear as day. Q3 profits confirmed $710 champagne worthy. Yes, quarterly numbers. Quarterly. His voice cracked. "That's a scam text. You should... Should I call my CFO back? Make sure they're right." The room had gotten quieter, conversations trailing off. "Your CFO," Blake said. Not a question. A statement he was trying to process. I reached for my wallet. "Let me give you his card. Your father's in private equity, right? Maybe they'd want to connect." I flipped it open, pulled out a business card. That's when it fell. The black card hit the marble floor with a metallic clink. American Express Centurion. Matte black titanium. Blake's eyes locked on it. "Is that—" I picked it up. "These metal cards. Total pain at airport security. You can't just get those." Mason's words tumbled out. "They invite you. You have to spend—" He stopped, did the math, came up with a number that didn't fit at all. Austin had crossed the room. "Dad, can we talk private—" Isaac Warren spoke up, phone in hand. "Guys, look at this." He turned his phone around. I watched their faces change. Blake first confused to shocked, then Mason eyes widening, Brittany's mouth forming an O. Isaac's screen showed a Forbes article, my face in a hard hat at a ribbon cutting. The headline, "Bradford Development Group valuation hits $42 million. "That's you," Isaac said quietly. I didn't answer, didn't need to. Mason grabbed the phone, scrolling. "Forbes real estate list, regional developers." His finger stopped. 42 million. Holy shit. Brittany's hand went to her throat. "You're that, Bradford." Blake stared at the phone like it was showing him aliens landing. Austin's face had gone gray. Not pale. Gray, the color of someone watching their reality crack. "But the car," Mason said. "The clothes. You said—" "I said commercial real estate development. Various sizes." I took a sip of my domestic beer. "You made your own assumptions." 8.5 million, Blake said. "Goldman Sachs. That wasn't a loan. That was a development budget. Project in Tempe. Mixed use. 42 million. Blake's voice was hollow. The room had gone completely quiet. Even people outside our circle had stopped talking. And then cutting through the silence, jingle bells started playing. How fitting. The silence stretched. Someone's wine glass trembled. Ice shifted in someone else's drink. Nobody moved. I set my beer down on the granite countertop. The sound echoed. "I suppose we should clear up some confusion." Blake opened his mouth. I held up a hand. "Yes, I make $75,000 a month. That's $900,000 a year for those keeping track. Yes, my company is worth over $40 million. Yes, I drive a 2010 Camry and buy my shirts at Walmart." Mason found his voice first. "But why would you—" "Because I don't need to prove anything to anyone." I looked at him. Really looked at him. Unlike some people, I don't measure my worth by what's on my wrist. His hand instinctively covered his Rolex. I turned to Blake. "Your father's private equity firm, Blackstone Capital, right? They pitched me last year. Wanted to invest in my Sky Harbor project. I turned them down." Blake's face went red. "My dad never mentioned—" "I didn't like their terms. Too aggressive. They wanted 60% equity for 40% capital. I don't need partners that badly." I looked at Mason. "Your family's bank. First National of Arizona. They manage one of my smaller accounts. About 12 million. My main accounts are with Chase and Wells Fargo. Your father probably sees my statements. Might want to ask him about it." Mason looked like he might be sick. Then I turned to my son. This was the part that hurt. "Austin." My voice came out rougher than I intended. "This house. You didn't buy this house." His face had gone from gray to white. "Dad, don't—" "I bought it. $3.5 million. Cash. 2 years ago, right after you got married. Wedding gift." I gestured at the walls around us. "Every brick. Every window. Every piece of designer furniture Amanda picked out. I paid for it." "Oh my God," someone whispered. Might have been Brittany. Austin's eyes were wet. You said it was a loan. You said, I said a lot of things to protect your pride. Let you tell your friends you did it yourself. Let you feel like a self-made man. The words came harder now. But tonight I heard you, through that window, telling them to ignore your old man in the beat-up car. Dad, I didn't mean. You separated me from my grandson. Told him I couldn't stay. He's 4 years old, Austin. He was happy to see me, and you sent him away. My voice cracked. Couldn't help it. You sat there while your friends treated me like I was nothing. Not once did you tell them to stop. Not once did you stand up and say, "That's my father." I'm sorry. Austin's voice broke. I'm so sorry. You're sorry now that you know about the money. I shook my head. But 20 minutes ago, when you thought I was just some small-time developer driving a Camry, you were embarrassed, ashamed. That's not fair. Isn't it? I looked around the room, at Blake still red-faced, at Mason looking at the floor, at Isaac Warren, who was watching this whole thing with something that might have been respect. I gave you everything, Austin. This house, your education, a father who loved you, and you gave me nothing but embarrassment. The Christmas tree lights blinked, on, off, on, off. Someone had programmed them that way. Thought it looked festive. I picked up the wrapped fire truck from where I'd set it on the entry table, held it for a moment, then set it back down. Give this to Henry tomorrow. Tell him Grandpa loves him. I walked toward the front door. Behind me, Austin said my name. Dad, please. I didn't stop, didn't turn around. My hand found the door handle. The same one I'd stood outside of an hour ago listening to my son tell his friends to ignore me. I pulled it open. Cold air rushed in. Desert night. Stars. The sound of my own breathing. I stepped through and closed the door behind me. I sat in the Camry for a long time. Through the rearview mirror, Austin's house, my house still blazed with Christmas lights. I pulled out my phone. Diane answered on the first ring. Mr. Bradford, I need documents drafted. Monday morning, I'm taking everything back. Everything. The house, car, credit cards, country club, all of it. May I ask why? Because my son needs to learn what I learned. Nothing worth having comes easy. Nothing teaches you faster than starting from nothing. I'll have it ready. I drove home. Not to some mansion, to my actual house. The one I bought in 1997 for $180,000. 3 bedrooms. Enough. Monday morning, 8:47 a.m. Documents delivered. House deed transferring back. 90 days to vacate. Range Rover cosigner removed. Credit cards closed. Country club terminated. Life insurance changed to Henry's trust only. A handwritten note. When you're ready to build something real, call me. Dad. I didn't hear from him, but I heard about it. Blake called Tuesday. My parents are being weird about money. Gotta figure my own shit out. Mason texted about being strapped himself. Isaac Warren showed up Wednesday with groceries. Told Austin it wasn't charity. It was what real friends do. That made me smile. Week 2. Reality crushed in. House payment. $18,000 monthly. Austin's salary $6,500. Range Rover $2,100 monthly. Credit card debt $47,000. Amanda called Diane's office, asked if I'd reverse my decision. When Diane said no, Amanda asked if I'd at least talk to Austin. I said not yet. What if she leaves him? Diane asked quietly. Like Linda left you. I thought about that. Linda walked out the day after I lost my job, packed bags, didn't look back, said she wasn't watching me fail, left me with a 2-year-old and didn't ask if we'd be okay. Amanda won't, I said. She's angry, scared, but she's still there. According to Isaac, Amanda made Austin sleep on the couch, but she was taking Henry to preschool, letting Austin see his son on weekends. Angry, disappointed, but there. Austin's luckier than I was, I told Diane. He has a wife giving him a chance, and a son who still knows his father. I'd spent Austin's childhood alone. 3 jobs, never dated, never remarried because who could I trust? Austin had Amanda. Angry Amanda. But Amanda who hadn't packed her bags. That was more than I'd had. Week 3. Isaac sent a photo. Austin in a studio apartment in Tempe. 600 square feet. Borrowed furniture. Mattress on the floor where Henry slept during visits. I stared at it. My son, who'd been embarrassed by my Camry living in a place smaller than his old garage. I almost called. Almost. but I remembered sitting in an apartment that size 30 years ago. After Linda left, holding baby Austin while he cried for his mama, wondering how to pay rent and keep the lights on, I'd made a choice then to build something. Not for revenge, for Austin, for us. He needed to make that choice for himself, for Amanda, for Henry, not because Daddy saved him. Tuesday evening, 3 weeks and 2 days after Christmas, my phone rang, Austin's name. I let it ring twice, 3 times, then answered, "Hello, silence," the kind filled with words someone's finding courage to say. Then barely a whisper, "Dad, it's me." I closed my eyes, saw him at 2 reaching for me, at 12 in that hard hat, at 27 ashamed. "I'm listening, son." "Dad," his voice was raw, "I don't want money. I want you to teach me how you built everything from nothing, because I've never built anything in my life. Everything I had was because of you." I waited, let the silence sit. "Are you ready to work?" I asked. "Really work 12-hour days starting at the bottom?" "Yes. 5 a.m. tomorrow. Wear clothes you don't mind getting dirty." Month 1. Austin showed up at 4:57 a.m. He worked construction at my South Phoenix project, hauling materials, cleaning up, taking orders from a foreman who didn't care whose son he was. $18 an hour. He came home covered in dust every night, hands blistered, back aching. "This what you did?" he asked one evening. "This and worse. I cleaned toilets midnight to 6. Then my day job, then freelance drafting at night." He was quiet. "I'm sorry I was ashamed of you." "I know." Month 3. Austin moved to the office. Project coordinator assistant. $3,500 a month. Still modest. Still earned. I sent him books. Real estate development. Finance. Contract law. Every Sunday I'd quiz him. Why this contractor over the cheaper bid? 3 OSHA violations. Cutting corners on safety means cutting corners everywhere. He was learning. Amanda started coming to Sunday dinners. Brought Henry. Didn't say much, just watched. One night she said, "He's different now. He listens." Good. Month 6. I laid the proposal on the table. Tempe mixed-use project. 4.2 million. It's yours. You'll run it. Full control. Hiring contractors, budget. Every decision. "Dad, I'm not ready." "Neither am I. That's the test." I pushed the folder toward him. "If you succeed, you've earned your place. If you fail, you'll learn more than any MBA could teach." "What if I lose your money?" "Then you'll owe me 4.2 million. But I believe in you." "Do you believe in yourself?" He stared at the folder, then picked it up. Months 7 through 9 were hell. Contractor quit. Permits delayed. Costs ran $380,000 over. The midnight call came in September. "Dad, I'm failing. Over budget, behind schedule. Wrong tenant mix." "Probably. That's not helping. Are you going to quit like Blake or finish like a Bradford silence, then like a Bradford? Then get back to work." Month 10. Austin found a new contractor. Saved $200,000. Got creative with permits, added green certification. Changed the tenant mix coffee shop and co-working space. When the first lease signed, he called, voice shaking. "Dad, we got them. 5-year lease. How does it feel real? For the first time, something I built feels real." Month 12. Project completed. Slightly over budget, but profitable. Commercial fully leased. Residential 80% sold. I drove out on a Saturday. Austin was there with a clipboard. We stood together looking at the building. 4 stories. His name on the developer plaque alongside mine. "You know what I see?" I asked. "A building over budget." "No, I see my son. I see integrity, perseverance, someone who didn't quit." I turned to him. "I see a Bradford." His eyes were wet. I pulled an envelope from my jacket. "This is yours." He opened it. Read. Looked up stunned. 20% equity in Bradford Development Group. You've earned it. Not because you're my son. Because you proved you can build something real. He pulled me into a hug. "First time in years. Thank you for not giving up on me." "Never," I said. "Not once." 18 months later, my doorbell rang at 5:30 on Christmas Eve. I opened the door to find Austin standing there holding Henry's hand. Behind them in the driveway sat a 2015 Honda Accord, used, paid for with his own money. "Merry Christmas, Dad." Henry broke free and launched himself at my legs. Grandpa, I scooped him up, 6 years old now, getting heavy. Hey, buddy, you get taller every time I see you. I'm in first grade now. First grade, that's practically high school. Amanda came up the walkway carrying a covered dish. She hugged me with her free arm. Thank you, Michael, for everything. You stayed? I said quietly. That's what saved him, not me. We both did. Inside my house looked nothing like that Scottsdale mansion. 1,500 square feet never felt small until you'd seen $3.5 million of Spanish colonial perfection. But tonight, with my son and grandson and daughter-in-law, it felt exactly right. Isaac Warren arrived 20 minutes later with wine and that same quiet smile. He was working at Bradford Development now. Austin had hired him 6 months ago. Only fair, Austin had said. He was there when nobody else was. Dinner was simple. Roasted chicken I'd made myself, potatoes, green beans. Nothing that required a caterer or cost more than someone's car payment. We sat around my kitchen table. The one I'd bought at a yard sale in 1998. Austin said grace. Actually said grace. When he finished, Amanda squeezed his hand. After dinner, Henry opened presents in the living room. The fire truck from 2 Christmases ago sat on the mantel, a little worn, but still his favorite. This year's gift was a construction toy set. Plastic bricks and beams and little workers with hard hats. Now I can build like you and Daddy. Henry's eyes were huge. That's right, I said. But remember, you have to earn it. Work hard. Learn from your mistakes. Grandpa, you sound like Daddy now, Austin laughed. Wonder where I got that from. Later, after Henry fell asleep on the couch and Amanda was helping with dishes, Austin and I stood on the back patio. The desert night was clear. Stars everywhere. Heard about Blake, I said. Austin nodded. His dad finally cut him off. Something about failed business ventures and burning through a trust fund. Last I heard, he's selling insurance. And Mason, working at his family's bank. Teller position. His dad made him start at the bottom. How do you feel about that? Austin was quiet for a moment. I don't feel anything. They were never really my friends. I just didn't know what friendship looked like. He gestured toward the house where Isaac was making Henry laugh with some story. Now I do. I put my hand on his shoulder. Felt solid. Real. Not the soft shoulder of a country club kid, but the shoulder of someone who'd hauled concrete and learned what work meant. I'm proud of you, I said. I had a good teacher. Amanda called us back inside. Time for dessert. Store-bought apple pie, not some $50 creation from a boutique bakery. We gathered around the table again. I raised my beer. Domestic, not craft, just regular American beer. To building things that last, I said. Not just buildings. Character. Relationships. Legacy. To building, everyone echoed. After they left, I stood in the driveway watching Austin buckle Henry into the Accord. The Christmas lights on my neighbors' houses blinked on and off. Somewhere down the street, someone was singing carols off-key. Austin walked back to me. Dad, you think Henry will take over the company someday? If he earns it, Austin smiled. That's what I figured you'd say. He hugged me. Merry Christmas, Dad. Love you. Love you too, son. I watched them drive away. The Accord's taillights disappeared around the corner. Then I walked over to my Camry. Same one. Still running. 280,000 miles now. I patted the hood. That Camry's sitting in my driveway. Still the best investment I ever made. Not because of what it cost, but because of what it taught my son. It taught him that the car you drive doesn't define you. What defines you is where you're going and who's riding with you. And tonight, watching my son drive away in his own modest car with his wife beside him and his son in the back seat, I knew he'd finally learned that lesson. Merry Christmas. Looking back on this true story, I realized I almost lost my son twice. Once when I gave him everything without making him earn it. Once when I had to take it all away. God gave me a second chance. Not everyone gets that. If you're reading this grandpa story, don't make my mistake. Don't shield your children from struggle so much they never learn their own strength. Don't let them measure worth by what's in the driveway instead of what's in the heart. I spent years building an empire, but almost forgot to build my son's character. God humbled me. He reminded me the best inheritance isn't money. It's teaching someone to stand on their own. This true story taught me that love sometimes means stepping back, letting them fall so they learn to get up, being there when they finally understand what you were trying to teach. To every father, every grandfather your children are watching. They're learning whether you're teaching or not. Show them what matters. Not the car you drive, but who you are when nobody's watching. God blessed me with a son willing to change. Not everyone gets that grace. Don't wait for disaster to learn these lessons. Teach your kids now that character beats cash every time. And if you've made my mistakes, it's never too late. Pick up the phone. Have the hard conversation. Learn from these grandpa stories. Don't be like I was. This true story is my gift to you. If this story touched, you share it with another parent who needs it. Comment below about lessons you're teaching your kids. I read everyone. And please subscribe to help me keep sharing grandpa stories like this. God bless.